This lecture is going to cover the features that all cells share. A cell is defined as the smallest unit that can carry out all the functions of life. It has certain physical properties as well, which we'll talk about momentarily. And those physical properties allow it to do the following things. It can acquire materials and energy, so it can take in products that give it energy to use to run its cell. It can also take in products that give it molecules to run in the cell. They respond to the environment, so they have to some way of detecting the environment and then signaling to itself from that environmental signals what to do. They replicate, meaning one cell can divide to make more cells. They maintain an internal environment. Usually that's different from the external environment. So basically they have to have ways to regulate what the conditions are inside the cell to make sure that the cell doesn't explode, the cell doesn't shrivel, that the cell is not too acidic or basic, that the cell has enough energy, that the cell is getting rid of waste products, and so forth. And they adapt to their environment. In this case, that means the cells are behaving differently depending on what's going on around them. This is different than evolutionary adaptation. These are cellular behavioral adaptations. There are two main categories of cells. We have prokaryotic, bacteria have prokaryotic cells, and eukaryotic. Animals, plants, fungi, and other organisms have eukaryotic cells. All cells have four structural features. First of all, they have a genome made of DNA. DNA is contained in structures called chromosomes. So they can be circular or a straight line, but that's where the information is held. And specifically information for making proteins. Now, proteins are the things that do jobs in the cell. So how does the cell know what proteins to make and what shapes to make them and all that? That's what the DNA holds, the information for that. It also holds the information for making regulatory products. So proteins that regulate what genes are on and off, proteins that regulate whether other proteins work or not. So we've got both the workers and the regulators coded for by the DNA. And the genome refers to all the DNA in a cell. Cells are filled with a sort of gooey substance, semi-fluid, called cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is mostly water, which allows substances to diffuse or move around the cell in the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm also just holds all the contents of a cell, all the other parts. All cells have ribosomes. So these are structures that actually make the proteins. So they're the ones that are going to read the information in order to build the protein. And finally, all cells have to have a boundary between them and the environment, and that's called a plasma membrane. It separates internal from external, and it regulates what goes in and out, how much it goes in and out, when it goes in and out. And it also is important in cells being able to communicate with other cells and with the environment. Those are the features that all cells share.